Alright guys, welcome back to another Nifty Network. Today I'm going to be showing you how to remove or replace your gas tank on a G37. The reason you would want to change that is because, say that you took it somewhere to get worked on, and instead of them jacking it up from the pinch welds, they jacked it up from here, so you got a big dent or it broke your fuel pump housing. Or if you're just driving down the road and something happened and a rock or debris or car parts or something hit your gas tank and now you have a hole in it or a dent, I'm going to show you how to get that out right now. Alright, so taking the seat out, the lower portion to get to the fuel pump is really easy. You're going to see two black tabs. If you basically just grab the center of the seat, like right there, you'll see a black tab. You're just going to literally pull that black tab up, and that releases that side. And then over here, obviously, same thing. Lift up, pull out, and then once those two front pieces are out, just kind of grab the sides of it, give it a little shimmy out, push the seatbelt clicker back in, and there you go. The rear portion is out, and now we can get to the fuel pump. You're going to see Phillips heads like this, right? And you're going to want to use a Phillips head. Just don't even waste your time because they are going to strip every single time. Just grab a set of pliers, and there's actually an arrow on here to show you which way to do it. So you would think lefty loosey, righty tighty, but you're actually going to tighten that to the right on all these. You're going to tighten that like that, and then this plate comes up like that. And this, what I just unplugged, is your fuel sending unit. So fuel sending unit's on this side, and then fuel pump is on your passenger side. So we'll get to the fuel pump right now on the passenger side. Okay, so same thing right here. Righty loosey this time, not righty tighty. Come on. I'm at like such a weird angle right now. That's just how it is working on cars. There's no comfort. And then you pop this plate off, and then the one over here on your passenger side is going to be your fuel pump. And the reason you can kind of tell that is you'll see a big line, like a fuel line coming out of this. So I unplugged the main fuel pump, and then right here you're gonna, there's two little clips. There's one there and there. Basically just you push pressure on this and then pinch those two together, and then that comes off just like that. So once you have that, just kind of push this out of your way. All right, and then to get the Y pipe off, I have a 14 with a wobbly. This seems to work really well. Even if the nut is super rusted, just make sure that the socket is all the way down and you don't slip off. So just do that. I mean, you can see this one, it was pretty rusted, and it came off with ease. Obviously this gun helps a lot, but having a impact socket and a wobbly, it'll make your life way easier. So get those four front 14s off, and then we'll come to the back of the Y pipe. Same thing. And then once you got the Y pipe freed up, get a pry bar and just kind of push back a little bit because the rubber bushings will have play. So just pop this off of there, pop it below. Same thing on this side. Make sure to hold on to the Y pipe because when you take the front off, it's gonna want to fall. And then this just wiggles off. And once you get the Y pipe off, I like to work from right here. So get a 12 wrench to the top. You would think that you take it off from the bottom with that nut. Don't do that because you'll strip that. So loosen this up a little bit, and then I'll rotate this clamp, and then I'll take it off the rest of the way with an impact. And this side's already taken off, but basically you do the same thing over here. There's the same clamp right here because it's dual exhaust, and then you'll have this sleeve. And I always like to take off everything that's gonna like require two hands at first. So right now, basically this brace is holding the front part of the pipe up, and then this is holding the rear up. So now I'm gonna go to these two in the center, because if I take those off, it's not gonna fall on me. It'll come down a little bit, but at least it won't fall on you. So there's that. Now you can see that this is all loose. Now you can work up right here and twist that and pull that out. And this thing didn't fall on me. So then you just slide this out, and then you have the midsection out. And then now that we have the exhaust out of there, we'll go to this bracket or this brace. That's 412. And then you'll grab a 10. You're gonna take these shields off. So there's 2 10s here. And then there's 4 10s on the rear section. And pull that down, and that will expose the drive shaft. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab a 12 wrench and come up here. You're going to want to loosen this. This is your shift linkage. So I'll show you why I'm doing that right now. So instead of like getting back in the car and putting it in park, basically all the way back is park, and then that you count the clicks. So there's 1 click, so that's reverse, and then that's neutral. So this should allow the drive shaft to spin freely so that we can go around the bolts back here on the diff. So on those, they're going to be 17s, and I grab a wobbly and a 17, and most of the time you don't even need to hold a wrench on here. You can just do it with your fingers. So just pull those off. And when you're pulling the drive shaft bolts off, you don't have to pull all these off. Just make sure, like, look at it and see which one is connected to the actual diff. So you only have to take 3 of the 6 off. Okay, so now those are off. We're gonna grab a 14. And there's a center support bearing right here. So now you're gonna wanna hold the drive shaft up because it can fall on you. Okay, so once that's loose like that, you want to slide the carrier bearing out, or slide it down, and then you're going to want to go forward, and that pulls out of the diff. All right, so now that we have the exhaust out, the drive shaft is out, we can start working on getting the subframe down. So first things first, I'm going to undo the e-brake cables. Those are 12s. And there's 2 more mounts right here. So once that's loosened up like that, pop those guys out. These are all just in little clamps. Same thing. And then when you get up to here, you're gonna see like a little clasp. Just rotate the e-brake cable until you see the cable go into that slot, and then it'll slide out. Okay, so now that's like that. We can work to the back, and we are going to start off with taking the calipers off. Those are 19s. And then I just remembered the wheel was already off of this. If you're watching this video beforehand, make sure to take your wheel off. You won't be able to access your caliper that easily if your wheel is on. But yeah. And also you may notice that there's no axles and there's not a diff in here. That doesn't matter. It's totally fine if you leave your diff and your axles in there. Okay, so there's one. We'll get this side, and then I'll lower it down a little bit and work on the top ones. Alright, so the top bolts of the caliper is what I'm working on right now. A 19 still. Alright, so when you rotate this caliper up, just take the line and wrap that around the hard line, and it'll actually hang out right there. And there's honestly not a ton of tension on the brake line, so it's totally safe to do. So while we're over here, we will pull the shock off of it. That's a 17 as well. And then if the bolt won't come out of the shock like this, get a wrench and then put your impact on loosen and just add a little pressure to it. And then that will allow that to separate. You can see the tension on the strut, like when this released, that pulled up. So now we'll go to the other side, and after we do that, we're able to drop the subframe. It's actually really simple dropping these things. Everyone thinks that it's a lot of work, but it's really probably one of the easiest things to get out. So again, we'll do that caliper. Make sure you take your rotor off if it's loose. Alright, so now that we have the strut disconnected, the calipers hung up, we basically are just going to go through here and hit all these studs. Those are 19s, and then in the front there's 14s. And there's also 2 hiding right here. This bracket can stay here, so we'll drop these down, and this bracket is connected to this. So we'll just take this 10 off, and then those 12s, and these 19s, and those 4 14. Alright, so what I like to do first is I'll start with doing the 14s in the front, because the ones that you want to wait till last are these 19s, because once you start pulling the 19s off, then it'll fall. But if you start taking all the other ones off, it won't fall on you. So just taking less bolts out, or taking more bolts out. So we'll undo this one. That'll allow us to get to that. Alright, so now that is freed up. You want to come over, if your mufflers are still on here, there's a 12 to undo your muffler, and then these will just pull straight back. To take these off, just grab it right here, get a good grip on it, and then you just pull it one time like that and it'll slide out. And then now I'm going to undo the back 19s so that you'll see the subframe start to kind of shift a little this way. Alright, so then once you're at this point, you can see that these the diff sensor cables are going to be right here. Just make sure to unplug your diff from those 2 sensors, and then clip this little clip right there so that it doesn't pull the harness holding the cable. Alright, so now everything is free. Those drop down, so now I'll grab the cart. And if you're at home doing this on the ground, I've seen people drop it on jack stands before. So you center this, basically, you put jacks on here, and you can literally set the subframe down on jack stands, or you can put it on like a dolly, or you can go straight to the ground if you want to, but I wouldn't do that because it's going to be really hard to get it centered and back up. I like to try and put it either on a dolly if I'm working on a lift, or on jack stands if I'm working on the ground. Alright, so we know that the subframe, the car is down as far as it'll go until the subframe comes down. So just undo that front 19. That bracket will come down. Then you go to the other side. And there you go. Subframe is out. Let's get this out of the way. And now we are going to take off this cover. There's 4 10s that hold this on, and then these are the straps that hold the gas tank up. These are 17s. I'll show you how to do that. Then there's a 10 right here on a hose clamp, this clamp, and that clamp. This is for EGR, and then this is a breather tube. So we'll get these clamps undone. I'll do the clamps first. Oh, you'll see. I'll walk you through it. Alright, so these clamps first. Take that one back. Take that one back. use your flathead or your needle nose pliers as a plier like that. If you wedge it to the chassis and squeeze it and pull it, it normally works if it's not super tight. There we go. Alright, so that one's good. Now time to take this one off. Alright, so we got that hose clamp off there. I always grab a pair of big channel locks and then I'll squeeze around that hose first to break whatever seal it may have had. And you just kind of wiggle this off. And if you have a full tank of gas, be careful because, I mean, if you have a full tank of gas, you're probably not replacing your gas tank because it probably has a hole or it's dented super bad so you don't have gas in it. But if you have gas in your gas tank and you pull it down like this and it has a full tank, it'll pour right on your face. So kind of keep that in mind. I'm going to take these 410s off now. So to get these back pieces off, you can see there's a bunch of debris in this one. You just push it up, and then it will allow it to fall forward like this. And then the front, there's a little tab that it slides on. And then you got your e-brake spring. All right, so you're gonna grab your 17 and undo one of these bolts. Don't do both of them because the gas tank will fall out. So one strap is off. Now the only thing holding this is this strap. So let's move this out of the way. Put the cart back under it. All right, so that fell about that distance. And then what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna lift the corner of this gas tank and pull the strap out of the way like that. And there you go. That is how you remove a gas tank on a G37 or a G35.